How you doing, YouTube? Matt, Massive Beer Reviews, back with yet another review. A little bit of aged beer, a little bit of blended, re-bottle conditioned, re-wine barreled Hill Farmstead hopeful goodness in the form of their Civil Disobedience. This is batch 22. I just did batch 21. I'll probably put these up both at the same time. And the first one was quite nice. Batch 22 is a bit different. I believe it's Florence and Arthur, if I remember correctly. Florence and Arthur wine barrel aged and then re-bottle conditioned. So the other one, I think I had a couple more kind of like aggressive kind of beers. Florence and Arthur for me is something just a bit more chuggable, a bit more drinkable, but you have the wine barrel component and the extra bottle conditioning. So let's see where this sucker takes us. Yeah, like I said, Civil Disobedience Ale Aged in Wine Barrels, Hill Farmstead Blended Barrel Series, and it's batch 22. It was bottled 12/01 2016, so just a bit over 2 years ago. This is the end of February 2019, and that'd be that. Yeah, classic Hill Farmstead label. Let's see what the sucker has to offer. Come on. Oh, I forgot they use these like crazy cork, or these caps on these, the ones with the actual like plastic seals on them like that. So a little bit of aggressive kind of carbonation flowing out of the beer. It's not going to gush or anything like that, but looks like it wants to be drank. Let's put it that way. So, yeah, I mean, Florence and Arthur are two of my favorite beers that I've done by them. I think I've reviewed a Florence. I don't think I did Arthur, or maybe it's the other way around. But I've had both, and they're just, you know, quintessential kind of delicious chugger beers. What do we have here? Soft haze, nothing too crazy. A bit of soft particulate floating around in there. Not necessarily like, hey, what you go by today's terms of haze. And then you have a tight, white, compact head, a little gravifying creaminess, a little soapiness on the edges. So she looks like a really nice, soft kind of farmhouse saison. So let's see what the nose has. Yeah, I mean, you're just getting a rich, kind of subtly Brett style, kind of funky wheat-based vibe. So you're getting that soft Brett, you're getting like a wheat kind of malt base off it. So you're getting this rich kind of saison brightness with that classic Hill Farmstead like zestiness. I just did a free will beer and it reminded me a lot of Hill Farmstead, and when I talked about that one, it was very much lemon kind of zestiness. This is more of just a kind of all around just kind of soft like funky Brett style citrus zestiness with that white wine barrel really just kind of touching on the beer. Nothing too heavy handed, just adding a little added depth of richness to the beer. Nothing too overtly impactful, but enough to kind of let the beer still sing while at the same time knowing that there is a wine barrel involved. And there's just a soft touch of like an oaky kind of vanilla going on. Nothing too crazy. Smells beautiful. Smells like something that just belongs. I've talked about this before, the beers that belong. Let's see if she tastes like that. Cheers. Yeah, that white wine barrel definitely amps it up a notch. Gets a little bit bigger than the base beer, but adds a really nice kind of not overly vinous kind of grapiness to it. It's more of a white wine grapiness as opposed to kind of a drying alcohol wine-based kind of grapiness. It's wine grape, but it's just not fermented. It doesn't have that over dryness, but it's not sweet either. But it just makes sense in the beer. Really soft, silky kind of mouthfeel to it. A nice big pop of oak tannins in there to dry it out enough. There's a big pop of sweetness in there. There's a decent amount of dryness going on. So you get that kind of nice balance between the two, where neither gets out of hand. You know, it doesn't get close to being too sweet and doesn't get close to being too dry. So those two components playing off of each other. And like I said, right before I took a sip, there's a lot of beers that just, when you drink it, it just kind of flows into your body in a way that it just kind of belongs. And maybe it's a pH balance thing in beer or something like that. But I know some of these, especially the brewers up there in Hill Farmstead, whether it be, you know what I mean, the people that are up there now, or people that are left, like Dan Suarez, a lot of their kind of funky farmhousey beers just come off as this kind of super in tune with the body kind of pH balance that just really kind of works for me and ends up lending itself to be a super drinkable beer. Compared to batch 21, completely different beers, so it's not fair to compare. That one's a little bit more kind of aggressive, a little bit more of a showy beer. While this one does have showy components to it, it doesn't come off that way, and it just comes off as just something that just... You're taking two beautiful beers in their own right, marrying them together and elevating them with that white wine barrel, but at the same time, keeping them modest. Not letting them get too out in left field or too showy to the point where they're just kind of like monstrosities of their bases, I guess you would say. They're just super tasty. Super well done. Hill Farmstead. What do you want? Yeah, I dig it. It just drinks so well, super welcoming, impactful enough to talk about, modest enough to drink and just enjoy, not get overly deep and contemplative about. Honestly, that's kind of that realm I like to sit in when it comes to especially kind of farmhouse beers, table beers. You're taking a very modest, kind of hard-working, kind of traditional style of beer. You're packaging it and selling it to the blue or white collar kind of new money bro cash dudes, and it's kind of a weird juxtaposition because you're talking about a beer that's just really just beer. It's just beer. To me, farmhouse beer is very much like lager. You know, it's just a beer you make to drink, and this it can show itself. How do I put it this way? You ever go to a really awesome restaurant that you could go in shorts and a t-shirt and you don't feel out of place, but at the same time you could show up there dressed to the nines and you don't feel out of place? That's kind of how Hill Farmstead comes off to me, because there's nothing wrong with that, but it's a great thing that it has that versatility go to either end of the spectrum. It just sucks, you know. I don't know. Can't get there all the time, I guess. So anyway, let's talk about it. Is this one of the better... Do I just want to go like base, you know, farmhouse beers? Do I want to go kind of blended barrel-aged beers? Let's go there. Is it one of the better barrel-aged beers that I've had as of late? Yes. Without a doubt. This is probably one of the better Hill Farmstead beers I've had in quite some time. And I've had quite a few, so that's saying quite a bit. Value and availability, their prices are usually typically modest. A lot of these beers, I think Civil Disobedience, more times than not, is sub $20. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure about that. Brewery only. Obviously, unless you win your fantasy football league, which is how I got this one. And if you like this, if you like Saison, if you like, you know, farmhouse beer, if you like Hill Farmstead. I mean, that's very kind of on the nose, but it is what it is. It's just a super tasty, well done beer. If you like white wine barrels and you like Saison, but you want something meaningful at the same time, not overpowering. I mean, I can keep talking about it. It's just good beer if you like good beer. There you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massive if you want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a nice little Civil Disobedience right now. And hopefully see you next time. Cheers.